The Simmons Family!
Matthew chapter 13, the parable of the sower. On that day, Jesus went out of the house and sat down by the sea. Such large crowds gathered around him that he got out into a boat and sat down, and the whole crowd stood along the shore. And he spoke to them at length in parables, saying, A sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell on the path, and birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground, where it had little soil. It sprang up at once because the soil was not deep. And when the sun rose, it was scorched, and withered for lack of roots. Some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. But some seed fell on rich soil and produced fruit, 100 or 60 or 30-fold. Whoever has ears ought to hear. Hey everybody, this is Elijah. In Matthew 13, we find Jesus talking about the parable of the sower and the seeds, and the different ways seeds can be choked and hindered from growth in their Christian life. These seeds are an archetype of ourselves and our own growth. And we find ourselves sometimes in the wrong environment, choked by our own choices, hindered from growth by our friends, by our circumstances. But God does not leave us alone in our times of trial, or alone in our environment in a wilderness. He provides us with companionship in the form of other Christians in the church, partners in growth and experience in the Holy Spirit. Speaking of the Holy Spirit, He also provides that in His grace with abundance beyond measure. Through growth, we come closer to Him, and through closeness with Jesus, we become closer to the Father. The Holy Spirit fosters that growth with His ministering touch, and we find ourselves turning to the church for spiritual growth as well, in the form of teaching and guidance. We are not alone in this wasteland of mediocrity and secularism, for we have the Holy Spirit coming from the very throne of God to help us. And we also have the church to guide us in doctrine and in teaching. God be with you. Right. A sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seed fell on the path, and birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground, where it had little soil. It sprang up at once because the soil was not deep, and when the sun rose, it was scorched. Some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. But some seed fell on rich soil, and produced fruit, 100 or 30 or 60-fold.